Night in Verdantia was thick with magic, sharp as frost and heavy as thunder. In the silent heart of the city of Viradale, beneath the glow of floating willow lanterns, Liora ran. Her cloak snagged on thorny vines as she darted down an alleyway, clutching a tome as old as the kingdom itself. Its pulse throbbed with a slow, urgent pressure, a heartbeat not her own. "You can't hide, Liora!" A man's voice rang out behind her, cruel and sure. Torvik, head of the Obsidian Guild, never missed his mark. Boots slammed against cobbles, shadows twisted, dancing at the edge of torchlight. She risked a glance back. His silhouette loomed, monstrous in the flicker. "You don't have to do this," she panted, voice trembling but loud enough for him to hear. "The veil keeps us safe. If you tear it down, there'll be nothing left." Torvik spat. "Safety is an illusion. Power belongs to those bold enough to seize it." Liora ducked into a whisper-thin crack in a greenstone wall, heart banging inside her ribs. She pressed her palm against the ancient glyphs, muttering the words the Watcher had taught her. The stone melted away with a sigh, revealing a spiral staircase plunging into darkness. She hesitated for a single, shivering breath before slipping below. The door sealed behind her as Torvik's curses echoed into emptiness. Liora descended, wild roots brushing her face, the air humming with secrets. At the bottom, a scrying pool shimmered silver and green. A robed figure stood at its edge, face hidden, voice soft as falling leaves. "Liora," the Watcher said, not turning. "You have come, just as I saw. The veil withers. Verdantia needs a guardian." Liora looked down at her trembling hands, then at the pool where shadows curled like ink. "But I'm nobody. I can't. You are more than you know. The elements await, and the void hungers for the world above. Will you answer the call?" Outside, the wind screamed as the veil shimmered, fragile as spun glass, and deep within herself, something fierce began to burn. "I will," Liora whispered. The Watcher's smile was nothing but the glint of fate. The story of Verdantia and of Liora had just begun. Dawn broke with an uneasy chill over Verdantia. Liora emerged from the root-choked stairwell, eyes stinging with sleeplessness, head heavy with prophecy. The tome pulsed at her hip. The Watcher's words thudded in her skull. The elements await. The void hungers. Above ground, the city was already stirring. News of the guild's failed pursuit hummed in alleyways and behind shuttered windows. Liora slipped through morning crowds, avoiding the armored patrols. Every shadow felt hungrier now, every whisper a warning. She paused at the market, staring at a fruit stall smothered in moss and glowing dew. An ancient woman behind the baskets looked up, her gaze sharp as broken quartz. Leora's hand trembled as she dropped a copper for a wrinkled pear. "Not all are blind to your burden, girl," the vendor whispered. She pressed a talisman, wood carved in an intricate spiral, into Leora's palm. "May the spirits shield you. Find Mail at the river. He'll know what must be done." Before Liora could reply, the woman vanished into the shuffle of the street. Liora clutched the talisman, the world swirling around her. Mail? A memory flickered. The Watcher's scrying pool, swirling with silver and green. A face in the water, eyes bright as stormlight. Mail? The guardian of water if the legends weren't lies. She hurried out of the city, heart pounding. The river was a living thing, wide as an open wound, edged with reeds and sweet blue lilies. Mist floated over its surface. Liora knelt, feeling the call of ancient currents. "Mail?" she whispered, voice lost in the watery hush. At first, only ripples answered. Then the water twisted, rising into the shape of a man, hair dripping, skin the shimmering green of river glass. Ancient power radiated from him, raw and unyielding. "What do you seek, mage child?" Mail's voice was low, echoing across the depths. "The veil is in danger. I need your help," Liora said, forcing herself to meet his gaze. He studied her, river eyes unreadable. "The world above has forgotten its debts. Why should we answer the call now?" Desperation flared in Leora's chest. "Because if we don't, Verdantia will be swallowed by the void. You'll lose everything too." Mail's frown softened. "Prove your heart. Face the river's judgment, and if you endure, I will aid you." He gestured, and the current surged, pulling Liora into the icy embrace of the river. As the water closed over her head, Liora kicked and clawed for breath, her battle for survival and the future of Verdantia just beginning. Cold of the river was a living thing. It pressed against Leora's skin, numbing her limbs and thinning the world to the thundering rush of water in her ears. Shadows writhed beneath her. The talisman at her neck glowed faintly in the gloom. Above, Mael's shape flickered in the shifting light, watching. Panic clawed up her throat. Liora thrashed, her lungs burning. In her mind, old lessons fought for breath, not fire against water, but balance. The Watcher's voice whispered, "Let go and become." Liora closed her eyes. She forced back the fear with every bit of will she had. She pictured the swirl of the river, how it bent around stones, how it didn't fight but flowed. Her heart slowed. She let herself sink deeper, surrendering to the current. It wrapped around her but didn't crush her this time. Instead, soft voices twined with the water, a song that seeped into her bones. Shapes appeared within the depths, fish with silver scales, willows dipping their roots, childhood memories of laughter beside the water's edge. Mael's voice echoed through the flood. "You are not just a mage, Liora. You are Verdantia, her pain, her hope. Will you defend her, even if it means surrendering yourself?" A strange calm took her. "I will," she whispered, though no air left her lips. The current shifted, gentle as a hand. It lifted Liora upward, breaking her through the river's surface with a gasp. She landed on the muddy bank, chest heaving, soaked through and trembling, but alive. Mael stood before her, smiling with something like pride. "You listened. Few remember how." She coughed. "Does that mean you'll help?" He knelt, pressing a hand to the ground. Water coiled and glittered, forming a crystalline droplet in his palm. "My strength is yours for a time, but the river cannot hold back the void alone. You must awaken the other guardians if Verdantia is to survive." Liora nodded, determination flickering in her eyes. "Who's next?" "Seek the Emberwood," Mael replied, gaze growing distant. "The fire slumbers and dreams of chaos. Wake it gently or be burned." As she set off towards the brooding horizon, Liora felt Mael's blessing swirling around her heart, a promise and a warning wrapped in water's embrace. She was no longer just running. Now, she was rising. The Emberwood sprawled across Verdantia's eastern border, its trees dark as coal, their leaves glowing with smoldering reds and oranges. Liora hesitated at its edge. Even the ground felt feverish with hidden fire. The air shimmered, thick with sparks invisible to the eye. She gripped Mael's crystalline droplet, feeling the river's reassurance like a cool thread in her chest. The Watcher's warning echoed again. "Wake it gently, or be burned." Step by step she entered. Flame wisps danced through the misty haze, circling her ankles. The forest whispered in a rough, restless tongue. Suddenly, a fire sprite burst from a hollow log, flickering gold, its eyes suspicious slits. "Trespasser, turn back, or be cinders!" Liora held her ground, voice steady. "I seek the Ember Guardian. The veil is failing. If I fail, these woods will burn from the void's hunger." The sprite hissed. A deeper rumble shook the earth, scattering embers through the branches. From the heart of the woods, the flames pooled, twisting into the shape of a woman crowned with flickering antlers. Astra, the Ember Guardian. "I know of you," Astra said, voice crackling. "A child carrying water's gift. Why should fire heed your plea, mage?" Liora met her gaze, remembering the river's test. "Fire isn't just destruction, it's hope, too. Warmth and new growth. I need that hope now. So does Verdantia." Astra circled Liora, her flames licking without burning. "Words are wind. Show me you can bear fire's burden." Pain lanced through Leora's arm as a band of living flame snaked up her wrist. Sweat trickled down her face. The pain was real, but she stood still, focusing on Mael's blessing, a cooling current in the inferno. Astra studied her, silence stretching. Then the flame hissed and faded. The Ember Guardian's smile glimmered, sharp and proud. "You do not flinch from pain. This fire respects." Astra pressed a coal into Leora's hand, its heat folding into her skin without harm. "My fire is yours, until the void is driven back, but know this, the closer you draw to the void, the more it will crave your light." Liora nodded, breathless but resolute. She tucked the glowing coal beside Mael's droplet. "I have to find the Stone Guardian next, don't I?" Astra nodded. "The roots run deep in the Iron Hills. He is stubborn as the mountain, only truth will move him." As Liora left the Emberwood, its branches bowed in respect, fire and water burning together in her veins. She felt something shift inside, pain and hope, forging her into something new. The Iron Hills jutted from Verdantia's spine, harsh and unyielding against the rolling green. Leora's boots bit into rocky soil as she climbed, the Emberwood's coal warm in her pocket, and Mael's river crystal cold beside it. Here the air hung heavy with secrets and the scent of bitter lichen. Crows watched from twisted pines as she wound between boulders, the world growing quieter with each step. Wind howled, carrying the distant roar of stone splitting. A warning or a summons. Reaching a windswept plateau, Liora found a slab of granite rising taller than a house. Ancient runes traced its sides, glowing dully in the cloudy light. She pressed her palm to the stone, steady and honest. "I've come to find the Stone Guardian. Verdantia needs your strength." Nothing moved. She closed her eyes, remembering Astra's words. Only truth will move him. Liora spoke, voice trembling but real. "I'm not the hero the old stories promise. I'm scared, and I fail more than I succeed, but I can't let Verdantia fall." Her fingers pressed harder. "Please help me." A deep, grinding rumble answered. The ground split, and from the heart of the granite a figure emerged, massive, carved of living stone, with eyes that flickered like gold veins. He gazed down, his face unreadable. "Many plead for strength, but fear honesty. Why do you deserve my aid, small one?" She looked up, unblinking. "Because I'll use it to protect, not dominate. Because Verdantia is my home." The Stone Guardian knelt, the earth shuddering beneath him. He pressed a stone medallion into her hands. It was rough, cool, and vibrated with a silent promise. "Truth is your shield now, Liora of the Veil. My power will hold, if your heart does." At that moment the sky darkened. A chilling wind spiraled down from the north, carrying distant screams and the scent of rotting magic. Liora stared north, pulse quickening, as a crack rippled along the veil, visible even from the hills. Thunder boomed. Shadows spilled from the rupture, writhing and hungry. The void was making its move. As Liora readied herself to descend the hills, the Watcher's voice echoed inside her head. "The final guardian lies hidden, where all things end and begin. Hurry! Verdantia's last hope depends on you." Gathering fire, water, and stone to her heart, Liora started towards the black horizon, unbroken but no longer unafraid. Night settled over the land as Liora pressed onward, her pulse echoing the gathering storm. With the blessings of water, fire, and stone braided around her spirit, she felt stronger, yet the air was thick with dread. Up ahead, the earth fell away into a chasm, where the world's breath pulsed slow and deep. This was the crossroads, whispered to be Verdantia's navel, where life and ending intertwined. A hooded figure waited by the narrow bridge of roots. The Watcher, unmistakable even in shadow, regarded Liora through the darkness. "The guardian you seek dwells within," the Watcher intoned, gesturing toward the abyss. "The wind does not show its face for the timid, nor does it favor lies." Liora swallowed. "I've come this far," she said. "Show me what must be done." "Step forward alone," the Watcher replied. "Release what you fear most. Only then will the wind know your heart." Steeling herself, Liora crossed the trembling bridge. The void below yawned wide, a black mouth gnawing at the edges of her courage. As she reached the center, a surge of wind tore through her cloak and tossed her hair. The bridge groaned. Phantom voices, 1,000 forgotten prayers howled around her. Her mind screamed to turn back, and memory after memory threatened to overwhelm. Her childhood lost to flame, her mother's final warning, her ordinary self whispering that she was too small for this. She gathered her talismans, water, flame, stone, and then let her hand fall away. Tears stung her eyes as she shouted into the void. Voice cracked. "I am afraid, but I choose Verdantia." The admission echoed from cliff to cliff, shattering the hush. A presence enveloped her, wild and unseen. The wind spun into the outline of a figure, wraith-like, with eyes the color of the open sky. "Courage is not the absence of fear," the Wind Guardian murmured, "but the will to act in spite of it." A feather, soft and pale as dawn, settled in Liora's palm. Air, carrying both promise and peril, joined the chorus of elements inside her. The guardianship was complete. The chasm trembled. Overhead, a jagged rift split the sky, the veil faltering, the void's advance unstoppable now. Liora turned to find the Watcher gone, but his final message lingered in the wind. Now, the last battle begins. With newfound resolve and the powers of the four elements, Liora faced the direction of the capital, where Torvik and the Obsidian Guild prepared to unleash Verdantia's end. The fate of the realm was hers to shape, or to lose. The veil's crack grew with every passing hour. Shadows slid between reality and nothingness, whispering promises of power and destruction. Liora's steps beat a rhythm against the trembling earth as she crossed fields and forests, the weight of all Verdantia ripening in her chest. As she approached the capital, Viradal, the sky above glowed eerily. Green lightning crisscrossed the horizon, flickering in time with the Veil's struggle. Citizens clustered in the streets, eyes wide with confusion and dread. Rumors hissed through the air, monsters seen in the mists, the Obsidian Guild rallying at the palace, the Void's hunger growing stronger. Liora crept through a broken side gate, memories of childhood reeling in her mind. She kept her talismans close, the river droplet cool, the ember coal pulsing, the stone medallion steady, and the wind feather ever so light. Deep within the palace, Torvik and the guild were unleashing forbidden spells, hoping to seize the Void for their own gain. She found herself cornered in a torchlit hall by a guild mage with ash-gray robes and a wild, desperate look. His wand crackled with unstable magic. "Don't move! Surrender the talismans, girl!" Liora held the mage's gaze, voice trembling but clear. "Why serve the Void? You'll just destroy everything. We'll create a new world from the ashes," he hissed, "where the strong rule." Leora's hands tingled. Memories of her fear and losses fed her resolve. She pulsed water through the stones, dousing the mage's flames. She summoned wind, scattering his own spells back at him. She pressed forward, never striking to kill, outsmarting, refusing to hate, and forging her path toward the throne room in the palace's heart. Torvik stood there, flanked by guildmasters, the Void's rift swirling behind him, a wound in the sky sucking at the pillars and paintings, growing wider with every chant. Shadows thrashed at the edges like wild dogs. "You're too late, child," Torvik called, his voice like steel. "The veil is broken. Now watch Verdantia bow to true power." Leora's fear boiled away, replaced by purpose. The 4 talismans pulsed in unison, the spirits of water, fire, stone, and wind answering her call. She stepped forward, and the ground vibrated beneath her feet. "I didn't come this far to watch you destroy us," Liora declared. Her voice, steady and fierce, rang across the ruined chamber. "I'll prove there's another way." Torvik's cruel smile faltered, just for an instant. With the Guardian's power filling her, Liora braced herself for the fight that would decide Verdantia's fate. Torvik raised his staff, the Void flaring in response, dark energy crackling up the marble columns. His guildmasters flanked him, weaving incantations, flames and shadows surging at their fingertips. The air hummed with impossible tension, caught between hope and total oblivion. Liora drew from the elements inside her chest, water to cool her fear, fire to strengthen her heart, stone to anchor her courage, and wind to move with purpose. She spread her arms, elemental magic dancing from her palms, swirling in a bright whirl around her. Torvik sneered, unleashing a torrent of void magic. Shadows leapt for Liora, reaching for her throat. With a flick of her wrist, she channeled Mael's river, dissolving the darkness with cleansing spray. Fire blazed through the hall, driving the guildmasters back. The palace walls groaned, half consumed by the expanding rift. "Give up!" snarled one guildmaster, launching a twist of stone shards. Liora shielded herself with the Stone Guardian's power. The attack broke on her skin like rain on a mountain cliff. "You're just a scared little girl." "I was," Liora shouted, power rising with every heartbeat, "but I've learned to be more. Verdantia isn't ruled by fear." The Guardian's energy intensified, water and fire blending in steam, stone and wind forming a tempest. Leora's body ached from the strain, but she forced herself onward. She dodged another attack, wind lifting her over the shattered floor, fire lighting her path. Somewhere behind her a child cried, lost in the panic. Liora twisted, sheltering the child with an elemental shield as she pushed them toward safety. Torvik's rage grew. "You cling to weakness, the Void rewards only the ruthless." A memory flickered in Leora's mind, her mother's gentle hand, the stories of heroes who built, not destroyed. "Verdantia's strength is in unity," she cried. "Power isn't worth having unless it saves." With a cry, Liora thrust her talismans forward. They flared with blinding light, each guardian's essence swirling outward to meet the churning rift. The veil trembled on the brink, caught between unraveling and mending. Torvik lurched forward, shadows gathering, ready to strike the final blow. Liora saw him hesitate, just for a breath, before he unleashed a surge of void magic directly at her. She dug deeper than ever, summoning every lesson, every pain, every hope. The power coursed through her, not easy or gentle, but honest and hard-won. As the energies collided, the palace shook, pillars toppling, the fate of Verdantia teetering on a single heartbeat. The true battle had only just begun. Liora staggered beneath the force of Torvik's void surge, darkness swallowing the color from the world, heat and cold entwined in impossible agony. Her knees hit the shattered tiles. All around her, citizens' cries blended with the shriek of the collapsing veil. Shadows poured in from the rift, devouring light, reaching for every living thing. She almost gave in. Almost. But then the Guardian's talismans, Cool River, Burning Ember, Unmovable Stone, and Wild Feather, flared bright within her grasp. Deep inside, she remembered every failure, each wound she'd suffered to get here. She remembered the market vendor's kindness, Mael's challenge, Astra's pride, the silent wisdom of the stone, the whisper of the wind. None of it had come easy, but she had changed. "You don't have to do this, Torvik," she cried, voice ragged. "You're destroying what you wanted to rule." Torvik's face twisted in rage and a flicker of doubt. Verdantia was broken long before the veil cracked. All I want is a chance for something greater. Wind howled through the throne room as Liora rose, battered but unyielding. You wanted power to hide your pain, but all you found was emptiness. Leora's voice rang with new strength. "We can heal Verdantia, together, even now." For an instant, Torvik hesitated. The void's grasp loosened just enough. Liora pressed her talismans to her heart and opened her mind to the Guardians. Their voices joined her own, echoing through magic and stone. Hope, heal, begin anew. She surged forward, channeling the Guardians' combined energies. Water cleansed the creeping darkness, fire burned away rot and fear, stone steadied collapsing ground, wind tore at the void's ragged edge. But the rift fought back, wider and angrier, pulling at her soul, at the palace, at every hope Verdantia had left. Torvik, desperate, hurled one last desperate spell, a bolt of void magic, pure and raw. It struck Leora's shield, shattering the palace's main pillar. Time slowed. The rift tore open, swallowing the ceiling, the world above twisting into chaos. Shadows thundered closer, moments from overrunning everything. Liora felt the Guardians straining, their power flickering. Verdantia trembled at the edge of annihilation, and she understood. Not strength alone, not magic or fire, would save her home, but the decision to reach for unity, to trust even those who had fallen. She turned to Torvik, extending her hand as the void howled. "Choose! Help me close the rift. Save us both." Torvik's eyes shone with terrible longing and fear. The world held its breath. The answer, Verdantia's survival, hanging in the balance. And that, in the flickering half-light, was the true beginning of the end. For a heartbeat, all was still. Shadows clung to the crumbling walls, the void roaring for victory. Leora's outstretched hand trembled, every muscle aching. Torvik teetered at the brink, caught between ruin and redemption, between all he'd lost and all he might yet save. His breath hitched. "We'll be nothing if we fail," he murmured, voice fragile as glass. "We are already nothing if we give up." Leora's eyes burned with tears and raw courage. "But together, we're not alone. Verdantia needs us. Both of us." Something broke inside Torvik. The void flickered around his hand, then sputtered as he cast aside his staff and grasped Leora's in a desperate, human grip. An unfamiliar warmth radiated between their palms as hope, finally, answered Verdantia's summons. The four talismans pulsed, but the power did not surge through Liora alone. It danced between her and Torvik, between every frightened soul cowering amidst the ruins, between the Guardians watching from their realms. Energy filled the shattered palace. Water's renewal, fire's resolve, stone's truth, wind's promise. Light met darkness at the rift, seething and struggling like wounded beasts. Torvik gasped, "It's too much. I can't." "Yes, you can," Liora urged, grounding him, fueling his will. "Feel it. We're stronger than the void if we stand together." Their combined power formed a spiral radiant as dawn, lashing at the crack in the veil, weaving the broken fragments back together. The shadows shrieked, trying to break the bond, but for every inch the void stole, unity reclaimed too. All of Verdantia felt the change. Those hiding in cellars and streets raised their heads. The Watcher's presence flickered, an approving glint in the drifting wind. The Guardians joined their hearts. Mael's rivers swelling, Astra's flames roaring, the stone Guardians rumble firm, the wind calling every breath toward hope. The rift shrank, then sealed, the last shadows fleeing with a guttural hiss. Silence fell. Where void ruled, now life poured in. Moss crept over marble, blossoms unfurled through cracks, light spilled across the ruins. The veil shimmered strong and new. Torvik dropped to his knees, racked with sobs, not for power lost, but for a world saved by forgiveness and trust. Liora bent beside him, utterly spent, but changed forever. "What now?" Torvik whispered, gazing at the fractured, yet healing palace. "We restore Verdantia," Liora said softly, "and make sure the Veil never stands alone again." Citizens crept from hiding, hope blooming in their faces. The Guardians faded into myth once again, but would never be forgotten. Liora rose, a voice upon the wind. A new era, where magic and the mundane meet, not as rivals, but as kin. And so, healed by unity and sacrifice, Verdantia at last belonged to all its people. A world changed, and a girl who had changed with it,